From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, terror suspect blows up self after gun battle with DSS and soldiers in Kaduna State. At least 20 killed following clashes over chiefdom in Taraba State. Nigeria's inflation rate rises to 22.22%. And on the foreign scene, Turkey presidential poll set for May 28 runoff as Erdogan wins about 50% of vote. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust TV. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for joining. Beginning with security matters, there was pandemonium in Kaduna when a man took his life with an improvised explosive device in order to evade arrest. The incident occurred at Ibrahim Haski Road in the KK community of Kaduna Millennium City on Monday morning. According to witnesses, gunshots were heard around 1 a.m. when officials from the Department of State Services, soldiers and police arrived at the suspect's residence. Daily Trust gathered that when the man realized he was surrounded, he resorted to using explosives to end his life. A community leader, Samaila, confirmed the incident, noting that the security operatives had barricaded the street to prevent people from approaching the suspect's house. Earlier, we spoke to Daily Trust reporter in Kaduna, Muhammad Yaba, who gives an update on the situation.
It was not actually a bomb blast. Early this morning, around 1 p.m., security agencies led by DSS and soldiers, including the police, arrived a residence at the KK community in Kaduna Millennium area of Kaduna State under school local government. Based on the sources or eyewitness report, the security agencies went to the residence because they tracked the suspect in the house. Well, actually, for now, we don't understand, we don't even know the identity of the suspect, but all we know was that he tried to engage the security agency to gunfight, and by shooting at them, as they exchanged gunfire between them and security agency as they tried to arrest him. Based on the information we got from community and also security sources, when he realized that he could not kind of like escape, he decided to use explosive to blow up himself, killing himself. And based on the information, we also gathered that he left behind a wife and some children that were said to have been taken away by security agencies. Effort to reach the state public relations officer of police command, DSP Mohammed Jalil about it, because as he is yet to reply our text messages and also to return our call, seeking clarification about the incident. But based on community confirmation, and also I was able to speak to some of the community leaders who actually confirmed the incident and that everything now is normal in the community, but the police and other security agencies are said to cordon off the house, and they are carrying out some investigation and also searching out. And based on security sources, also discovered that an AK-47 rifle was discovered in the house, as well as 2 IEDs who were safely detonated by anti-bomb squad. Based on the findings, he was the only, or he is the only victim, and he is the only person that killed himself. Like I said, his wife and children were safely evacuated from the house by DSS officials and took them into custody. And apart from that, there was no any damage, there was no any kind of there was no any other person or resident that was said to have sustained any injury during the operation that lasted hours in the night.
The Nigerian Army has rescued another kidnapped Chibok girl during its offensive operations in Sambisa Forest. The theater commander of the operation, Hadinkai, Major General Ibrahim Ali, at a press briefing in Maimalari Cantonment, said Saratu Dauda, aged 25, was rescued this month by its troops. The commander, while handing over Saratu to the state, assured that her 3 children and other missing girls will be found.
She was once married to one Abu Yusuf, who she later divorced before getting married to one Ba'ana Muhammad, also known as Abu Zinira, a Boko Haram terrorist IED expert. She had 3 daughters, aged 7, 5, and 2 years old, with Ba'ana, but however left them in the terrorist hideout during her escape. So far, efforts to rescue her children and other innocent women and children are ongoing.
We have received quite a number of the girls. They are still in our custody. We continue to give them mental health, psychosocial support, making sure that they are empowered in one skill or another before they are handed over to the federal government to join their other sisters that were earlier released. So I'm really pleased with what I saw today. The military has done very well by looking after the young girls that have.
No fewer than 20 persons have been reportedly killed following a clash between 2 ethnic groups over kingship in Taraba State. This development comes on the heels of a coronation held for the traditional ruler of Wurukum Chiefdom. Sources reveal that the ceremony, which was put together by Governor Darius Ishaku, turned out to be a decision that was not welcomed by other tribes. Houses, vehicles and farmlands were not spared in the carnage that ensued. Prior to the clashes, Governor Ishaku had said that the essence of creating the chiefdom was to bring government closer to the people and give the masses a sense of belonging. He added that the desired goal was not to balkanize the people along ethnic or religious lines. This admonition, however, did little or nothing to forestall the violence, as some residents of Karim Lamido local government showed their outright rejection by burning of tires, which later metamorphosed into full-blown crisis, leading to the death of at least 20 persons and properties destroyed. In a similar vein, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has assured victims of communal clash in the Igano area of Oyo State of speedy dispensation of justice. The governor stated this at Igano in the Iwajoa Local Council District when he led a delegation on an inspection tour to assess the level of damage done by yet-to-be-identified suspected hoodlums. Governor Makinde, who promised to broker peace among the various ethnic groups, there called for religious tolerance amongst residents of the community. The report.
Igana community is an agrarian settlement located in the Iwajoa local government area and is predominantly occupied by residents from the Fulani extraction. It has been home for them for decades. Recent clashes amongst residents of different ethno-religious background has resulted to the needless loss of lives and property, and has also left in its wake an atmosphere of fear and mistrust. Little wonder the Oyo State Governor and his delegation are in the ancient town to assess the level of damage, with a call on all to embrace peace. We are also citizens of Nigeria. For someone like me, I was born here. I'm also their leader, a wounded person who, alive, has the chance of surviving. So let's heal and continue living together in peace and harmony.
We ensure that justice is done. Ensure that they are also catered for. Because this is the government for everybody.
The governor also met with leaders of religious ethnic groups, and the message at the meeting, Governor Makinde stressed that no meaningful development could be achieved in an atmosphere of insecurity.
But we don't want the cycle to continue. That's why I am here. I don't want reprisal, okay, they've killed people here. We will mobilize our people also and kill others, and then they will mobilize and say they will kill others. As a government, we will do everything possible to ensure that the people are properly settled.
An unspecified number of people have lost their lives in the recent crisis. Leaders here are calling on government to urgently put machinery in place to secure lives and properties. This can affect the citizens. Anywhere there is crisis, there can be no development. We should all embrace peace and agree that anytime there's a problem, we will go and report to the police. Governor Makinde promised to make Igana a hub for tourism, while also assuring that succor will come the way of victims affected by the recent clashes.
Nigeria Customs Service Federal Operation Unit Zone B says it has made a seizure of different prohibited items with a total duty paid value of over 628 million naira at different locations in the zone. The controller of the zone, Musa Ibrahim Jallo, while briefing journalists in Kaduna, says that the seizures were effected between the month of March and April 2023. The report.
Briefing the media, the controller of Federal Operations Unit Zone B of the Nigeria Customs Service, Kaduna, Musa Jallo, revealed that some of the items seized include marijuana and other prohibited items.
The operator unit, while on credible intelligence, intercepted one used Mitsubishi Canter, registration number AKR10XD, conveying sacks of cannabis sativa, otherwise known as marijuana, concealed with bags of cassava flakes and sandos along Bangudu Safe Road in Zamfara State. After physical examination, the bags were found to contain 40 sacks of marijuana with still value of 2,069,140.40 kobo.
Other items intercepted include military uniform, premium motor spirit, among others.
Similarly, on 23 March 2023, our operators intercepted a suspicion-wide illegal nicotine substance together with 2 male substances, 1 locally made pistol in the course of anti-smuggling operations and with the regulatory axis. The suspected illegal substance together with the male substance were brought to the office for further actions. Officials of the NDLA Drug Law Enforcement Agency Kaduna State Com were invited to carry out a test on the suspected illegal substance to determine its true nature. The test further proved that the illegal substance to be opium, substantive with total weight of 428 kilograms. The street value of the opium substance is 31,018,569.98 kobo only.
The controller, while reiterating the commitment of the zone, also solicited the support of the communities around border areas to continue to provide useful information that will assist them to impound prohibited goods. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
And away from that, Governor Bello Matawalle of Zamfara State has asked President Muhammadu Buhari not to approve any study leave or whatever kind of leave for any officer critical to the takeoff of the incoming administration of Bola Tinubu. The governor specifically mentioned the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, who he said has been speculated to have requested leave, and urged the president to deny the CBN governor such a request. Matawalle, who hailed the president and his wife for making efforts to ensure a seamless transition and handover to the president-elect Bola Tinubu, however, lamented that some other officers in government are acting differently. Focusing on Emefiele, the Zamfara State governor accused the incumbent CBN governor of superintending over the mismanagement of the country's financial and monetary systems. He insisted that the CBN governor must stay to give an account of everything that happened under him to the incoming administration. He also appealed to the president not to approve foreign postings or grant any foreign travels for any officer at any level in the outgoing government who may be critical or strategic to the smooth takeoff of the incoming government. Meanwhile, the police high command says it has launched a manhunt for politicians who are bent on scuttling the forthcoming May 29 inauguration of the President-elect Bola Tinubu and his vice Kashim Shettima. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, at a press briefing at Force Headquarters in Abuja on Monday, said the operation was being carried out in collaboration with other security agencies, particularly intelligence officials. Baba explained that the development became imperative in order to tame subversive elements who had been trying to destabilize the peaceful environment currently being enjoyed in the country. He noted that the security agencies will no longer tolerate any utterance capable of throwing the country into turmoil, adding that any political actor who does not heed to the warning will be made to face the wrath of the law. And the race for the leadership of the 10th National Assembly is becoming tougher, few days to the May 29, when the 9th Assembly will be called off. Although the ruling All Progressives Congress, which has majority in the upper and lower chambers, declared a zoning arrangement for the positions, some aspirants vying for the Senate presidency and speakership are, however, opposed to the party's decision. As the issue rages on, one question on the lips of Nigerians is whether or not the elections into the National Assembly leadership will be based on merit or zoning. Ibrahim Ismail speaks to political analysts and Nigerians.
With every passing day, horse trading continues in the two chambers of the National Assembly for the elections of principal officers ahead of the end of the 9th Assembly on May 29th. The ruling All Progressives Congress APC has majority and has zoned the Senate presidency and speakership to South-South and North-West respectively. However, the APC National Assembly Aspirants Caucus has since rejected the zoning arrangement, creating room for a heated public debate on the matter among Nigerians. Nepotism is what underdeveloped this country. Godfathers install incompetent leaders because they are their godsons for personal interest. Those doing so should fear God. It is bad to enforce leaders. It is taking us backward. People had voted in the last election and their votes count. Democracy should prevail in the National Assembly. Elections to fill principal positions in the National Assembly should be free from any regional sentiment. Youth should be allowed to take over because most of the leaders are between 70 and 80 years old. While some Nigerians reject zoning or nomination of candidates by the APC in the election of the National Assembly leadership, political analysts believe that for quality leadership to emerge in the country's legislature, a free and fair election must be allowed to take place at both the upper and the lower chambers.
If there is a teamwork, if there is a unity, if there is adherence to the due process and rule of law, whoever is the leader, it will not change anything, it will not make any difference, it will still be the same thing, we will have what we want. But I am urging them to allow internal democracy within the party to work out. Let them allow those that are contesting, let them allow the National Assembly as an independent entity that has freedom constitutionally to determine who should be and then to go on board instead of imposing, which at the end of the day will lead to revolting.
As it stands, top contenders for the speakership position are Ahmed Idris Wase, Aliyu Mukhtar Betara, Tajuddin Abbas, and Sada Soli Jibia. For the Senate presidency, Godswill Fabio, Oji Uzokalu, Abdulaziz Yari, and Sani Musa are the major contenders. However, zoning arrangement of the APC has given some candidates an upper hand in the race. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
Still on the National Assembly leadership, the outgoing and incoming governors of Katsina State, Aminu Bello Masari and Diko Umar Ratna, have endorsed the All Progressives Congress consensus candidate for the Speaker of the incoming 10th House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas. According to a statement signed by Tajuddin Abbas campaign office on Monday, the duo announced their endorsement when they received Abbas and members of the Joint Task 10th Assembly who visited them separately on Sunday night. Joint Task 10th Assembly is a coalition of members from the 8 political parties that have won seats in the 10th Assembly. The Katsina State Governor, Aminu Bello Masari, who was a former Speaker of the House, said as a loyal member of the ruling All Progressives Congress, he believed the party's choice should be respected. On his part, the Katsina State's Governor-elect, Diko Umar Radda, said that they would ensure that the APC's decision on zoning was implemented to the letter. It could be recalled that the Tajuddin Abbas and Benjamin Kalu were adopted by the APC as consensus candidates for Speaker and Deputy Speaker for the incoming 10th House of Representatives. You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at minimizing indiscriminate cutting of trees. Details and more after the break.
That's great. That's good to see you.
Welcome back. This is the News Hour on Trust TV. Let's take a look at the top stories again. Terror suspect blows up self after gun battle with DSS on soldiers in Kaduna State. At least 20 killed following clashes over chiefdom in Taraba State. Moving on, no fewer than 80 officers and men of the Nigeria Immigration Service have gone on trial for indulging in collection of illegal fees for the issuance of new passports and renewal of old ones. The Service Public Relations Officer Controller of Immigration, Tony Alkuneme, disclosed this in an interview in Abuja. He said that the 8 other officers have been dismissed from service for the same offense in the last 1 year. He said that disciplinary measures under the passport reform was part of the 3-point agenda of the present Controller General, Issa Jere, when he came on board.
We have tried as much as possible to eliminate third parties so that if you really want, you can process your passport application from the comfort of your room, on your laptop, on your telephone, your Android phone. You can start and finish the process and make your payment if you have means of paying online. So you don't really need anybody, whether it's immigration officer or it's the people that call themselves agents, which we really used to call touts. These days they have modernized or upgraded and they become agents. But at the end of the day, whether they even call themselves consultants, they are still third parties. So the problem we have is the use of third parties. Because no matter how much reform you put in, and you see a learned person or a civilized person using a third party to process his or her application, right? And you don't have an idea of the information that is imputed into your application. You find out that somebody can have small issue of NIN. Oh, your NIN does not match with your passport records. Please come and go to NIN and resolve this. It's supposed to take you 2-3 days or 4 days and come back to us. But it might take us 1 month or 2 months to get to you because the phone number in your application is not your number. And somebody fill the form for you. Whoever it is, whether it's an immigration officer or an agent, fill the form for you. Of course, we have continued to punish immigration officers that try to assist people. I mean, you can assist people genuinely, but not to assist them for a fee. That's not part of our job. And the Controller General is very, very serious with disciplining officers that go out of their way to try to either engage or sabotage the reform process.
Retired police officers staged a peaceful protest in Bauchi State demanding the Inspector General of Police to expedite their exit from contributory pension scheme over the lingering issues that started since 2012. They made their grievances known during the protest to the Bauchi State Commissioner of Police at the State Police Command. Adamu Imam reports.
At the peaceful protest, the retired Nigerian police officers in Bauchi echoed their appeal to the Inspector General of Police, Baba Alkali, to pave the way for their removal from the contributory pension scheme as they are suffering instead of benefiting. Leader of the protesting police pensioners is ASP Adotafida retired. He is represented at the protest by the Secretary of the Association, John Elia.
Members has died due to the way and manner they were frustrated. I also seize this opportunity to tell you that PENCOM, as you know, is a killer disease and was introduced to ease suffering of retired workers of Nigeria. But it turns out to be a different thing, where some organizations or agencies were pulled out due to some selfish reasons. By God's grace, we shall soon cross the bridge, inshallah. Thank you.
While responding, the State Police Commissioner Aminu Al-Hassan stated that the retired officers have done more for the country than what they are getting as ex-officers and assured them that their grievances will be communicated to the IGP.
Even with you, I pity you, and by grace of Allah, I will make sure that whatever I will do to uplift this problem, I will do. The PENCOM you want to exit from, if I ask you, where do you want to go? You didn't mention it. You understand? If somebody say, for example, he doesn't like to stay in Bauchi or he doesn't want to stay in Nigeria, okay, where do you want to go? You didn't mention. You're supposed to have mentioned that one.
They also urged their members to remain steadfast as their struggle will continue until they reclaim their request is granted. Adami Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Vice President Yemi Oshibajo on Monday presided over a special Federal Executive Council meeting at the State House in Abuja, 2 weeks to the end of the current administration. The Vice President chaired the meeting on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari, who is still away in London on medical grounds. The special FEC meeting, which deliberated on over 30 memos emanating from various ministries and agencies of government, is apparently convened to treat a backlog of pending memos at the administration as the administration wraps up this week ahead of the May 29 handover date. President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to return to Nigeria on Tuesday to chair Wednesday's council meeting. Now, over 2.9 children aged 0 to 5 years have been targeted for immunization in Katsina State. The children are to receive oral and injectable immunization against polio and other child killer diseases. At first, Katsina State was divided into two for easy coverage, with 17 local government targeted for the first round, which was built to last for 6 days. Abdullahi Amadi has the details of the report.
According to reports, the remaining 17 local government areas of the state will be covered during the second round. Teams of vaccinators will be stationed at various designated centers to ensure effective coverage of all the nooks and crannies of the state. The Executive Secretary, Primary Health Care Development Agency, Shamsuddin Yahya, gave assurances that the exercise will ensure effective coverage of the state, including local governments that are prone to insecurity.
And we have special teams that are going to work to ensure that these people in those security compromised LGEs and wards and settlements are reached. And the plans are variable, it's no one size fits all, depending on the security situation. So we are learning from best practices from other states that have a security challenge. Based on that, we are going to ensure that we reach out to those children 0 to 59 months in those areas. There are some of our partners that are specifically focused on the security challenge LGEs.
To attain a seamless immunization, the agency solicited the support of traditional and religious leaders. This is geared towards making sure that the over 2.9 million children of Katsina State are safe and well protected against the threat of polio and other child killer diseases. Public commentators agreed that public health issues require all hands to be on deck to holistically address them for a better and prosperous society. Abdullahi Ismail Amadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Afrobeat musician Seun Kuti in the early hours of Monday turned himself in at the Lagos State Police Command headquarters, Ikeja. The Grammy Award winner showed up in company of his lawyer and family representative. The Lagos State Police Public Relations Officer Benjamin Hundeyin, who confirmed it on his Twitter handle, said Seun is currently being placed under arrest. Hundeyin said that his arrest is in line with the law. He said that the command appreciates the public for their concern and assures that the ongoing investigation will be detailed, transparent, professionally pursued, so that justice will be served for all parties involved. The need for more awareness creation and advocacy to minimize deforestation or indiscriminate cutting down of trees has become imperative due to the effects of climate change. Jimmy Azande reports that in Benue, an invention called Abacha stove is a flight risk to the ecosystem. The report.
Many, including a university don and climatologists from the Benue State University, Makudi, said a number of factors are responsible for deforestation in the state. They also listed some of the consequences.
If you look at the statistics, the level of deforestation, especially in Nigeria and Benue State, is alarming. Probably because we are not taking into consciousness the role these forests play in our environment. Forests serve a lot of purpose in trying to help keep our environment in order. Climate-wise, forests play a role in regulating the microclimate of an environment.
People cut down trees to get charcoal for domestic use, for timber, so on. One thing we forget is that while we cut down these trees, we don't replace them. And when we don't replace them, they have a drastic effect on the environment, like flooding. These trees serve as windbreak. When we cut them out and the wind comes in high volume, they can take off roofs, etc. and all that. So when we cut trees, we should replace them more. Like if you cut one tree, replace them with 2 trees.
And again, deforestation also causes land degradation. Some people are not aware on the effect of deforestation. They are doing it mostly because they want to do agricultural practices. So normally when there are a lot of trees in farms, that make farms to produce less quantity of product. So for them, they remove all those trees to enable them cultivate lands.
The university don also said there are good policies on paper, but the government has over the years failed to protect the environment. This, he said, is a stumbling block to efforts geared toward mitigating climate change realities, like the scorching sun and flooding, among others.
If you look at our country and you look at our policies, they are very fine. The problem is the implementation. We have the Ministry of Forestry, we have forest gas, and even with all of this in place, our forests are diminishing. So it's all about having a wake-up call and making these ministries live up to their standards. All they need to do is create that consciousness in people and let them know that this is the role forestry plays in our environment, and then make people know that when you cut down a tree, you replace it. We can't stop people from cutting down trees, but as you cut down, you replace. If you cut one, plant 3 more, so that we'll have what you have taken replaced, and then our forests will be in place.
There is need for awareness creation, especially among the rural people, on the consequences of harmful practices against the environment.
The heavy rainfall witnessed in most parts of the country in the last 15 days has left about 436 families without a home in Lagos State. Similarly, a total of 228 houses were either partially or completely destroyed within the same period in Lagos. A total of 13 electricity poles were also affected in the different parts of the metropolis. The National Emergency Management Agency assessment of damages done to the properties in the state showed that some houses were impacted in various degrees across the state. The Southwest Territorial Head of NEMA, Ibrahim Farinloye, said that the major rainfall, which occurred on 1st and 15th of May 2023, recorded serious wind and rainstorm. Farinloye said that the 2-day windstorm, which recorded no casualty or fatality, however, damaged public and private buildings. Now, no fewer than 43 persons and 9 vehicles were involved in multiple road crashes that occurred on Monday morning in the Ogun State. The Federal Road Safety Corps said that the accident happened at Magboro axis of the Lagos-Ibadan highway. A truck was said to have rammed into other vehicles on the road after it suffered brake failure. The FRC spokesperson in Ogun, Florence Okpe, confirmed that 9 vehicles were involved in the accident. Okpe confirmed that 4 persons were injured in the accident that caused a gridlock on the axis. She said, however, that she assured that no life was lost in the incident. President Muhammadu Buhari has joined in sharing the joy of celebrations as 27-year-old chef Hilda Basi Effiong, aka Hilda Basi, makes history by breaking the world record of longest hours of cooking and placing Nigeria on the global spotlight. The president's felicitation was contained in a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina. President Buhari lauded the young culinary expert for turning her talent and passion into a career with a rippling effect on the economy as she runs a restaurant in Lagos and trains other talent on entrepreneurship and now leads the world in resilience, perseverance and consistency in cooking. The president acknowledged the antecedents of the restaurateur who dazzled at the Jollof Face-Off Competition 2021, preparing mouth-watering dishes that won the Choice Prize and settled the age-long rivalry with Ghana, on which African country should own the trademark for cooking better jollof rice. President Buhari said he believes that Hilda Bassi's drive and ambition have brought more interest and insight into the uniqueness of Nigerian food as another cultural icon with huge tourism benefits, hoping more young people will follow in her footsteps. Time now to take a quick break. The news hour continues shortly. Join us again.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130.
Created a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secure are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Already, if you look at English squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
Welcome back. You're still watching Trust TV News Hour. Now, Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, says despite harsh operating environment, NNPC Limited is projecting a $20 billion growth in the nearest future. Kyari made the projection during a courtesy visit to Media Trust headquarters in Abuja on Monday, where he spoke on a wide range of issues around the NNPCL's operations, including efforts to make the country gas sufficient and increase energy security. Chamu Labe reports.
Since its transition from a government-owned entity to being a limited liability company in July 2022, the NNPC Limited, which is the largest oil company in Africa, has been making strides to ensure that it remains a profitable organization. According to the group CEO, Mele Kyari, NNPC Limited has a book value of $60 billion and projects to reach $80 billion in the near future. However, Nigeria faces a myriad of challenges affecting the certainty and progress of businesses within the nation.
In this country, for you to run a kind of business now, you are subjected to over 13 taxations. You know, every state government brings out laws, regulations that will border on your investment. So we are not a predictable business environment. You have to keep certain things stable and reliable and predictable. Our fiscal environment, yes, the PIA has done great work. 90% of issues resolved, 90% of fiscal environment fixed, but we still have a challenge, because companies don't know when the next set of rules will come. That's why engaging the politicians to understand and appreciate is very, very critical.
Nigeria has a proven gas reserve of about 206.53 trillion cubic feet, worth an estimated $803.4 trillion, making it the most extensive gas reserve in Africa. However, this natural reserve is yet to be fully harnessed, making it imperative for the NNPC Limited to develop strategies towards its effective utilization.
And that's why we're focused on delivering gas into our country, creating the backbone infrastructure, which is very, very critical. So that is kind of intervention that we are doing to build the backbone infrastructure so that we have what we call a Y-shape, lines starting from the east, crossing into the west and all the way into the north to Kano. So you have a Y-shaped backbone infrastructure, which means that there's no part of the country which will be further than most, not all, than 400 kilometers from the major trunk line. And once you have done this, you have 8 billion scoop of gas in your network. For the next 5 to 6 years, you will have sufficient gas for you to meet your domestic need.
As the rest of the world moves away from fossil fuels and focuses on clean and renewable energy, this development has raised concerns for many Nigerians, as the country's revenue heavily relied on crude oil. However, Kyari says Nigeria's case is different.
You hear a lot of stories around energy transition, clean fuel, and then, of course, lack of investment in the fossil fuel industry and so on and so on. Our case is very different. The railway system still hasn't grown to the level where we can rely on it for transportation of people, goods, and even petroleum. And of course, the road network, that's why we came in to intervene, to see how NNPC's tax credits can be utilized to bring that infrastructure.
The visit to Media Trust is in a bid to establish a functional relationship and open clear lines of communication between the regulatory body and the media. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Adamawa Taraba Command of the Nigeria Customs Service says it has seized goods worth a total value of duty-paid value of over 55 million naira within 2 weeks of operation by its officers. The seized items include 34,850 liters of PMS loaded in 538 jerrycans of 25 kg and 107 drums of 200 liters. Briefing journalists in Yola, the controller Adamawa Taraba Command, Suleiman Abdullahi, said the success was achieved with the support of other security agencies in the area geared toward ridding it of smuggling activities. Let's now take a look at business updates with Chamo Dabe.
The rise in food, non-alcoholic beverage, housing, water, electricity, and gas prices has pushed Nigeria's headline inflation to 22.2% in April. This is according to the latest Consumer Price Index released by the National Bureau of Statistics. According to the report, the growth was 0.18 percentage points higher than the 22.04% observed in March. Headline inflation rate was 5.4% higher on an annual basis than the 16.82% rate recorded in April 2022. The report further stated that the annual rate of food inflation in April 2023 was 24.61%, which was 6.24% higher than the rate seen in April 2022. The Central Bank of Nigeria says it is aware of the long-running conflict between the banks and telecommunication companies and has been working with all parties to ensure a peaceful conclusion. Due to arrears totaling around 120 billion naira, telcos had threatened to cut off banks' unstructured supplementary service data (USSD). The CBN governor's direct intervention in March 2021 led to the banks and telcos agreeing on a per session pricing of 6 naira 98 kobo. This is according to a statement signed by Isa Abdul Mumin, the CBN's acting director of corporate communications. Distribution firms DISCOs, according to the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC), have the authority to disconnect customers who have not paid their electricity bills for at least 12 days. This is stated in the recently published Customer Protection Regulations 2023 by the Commission. Before DISCOs can use their authority to disconnect clients from failing to pay their bills when due, the Commission set forth the requirements that must be met. A DISCO may, however, refuse a client's request for an electrical supply if the customer fails to present an appropriate form of identification or fails to pay the security deposit that the DISCOs has requested. That's all for business news. I am Chamun Dabeng.
Now, on the foreign scene, Turkey's high-stakes presidential election is headed for a runoff vote. Turkey's electoral chief, Ahmet Yener, has said, citing official results from the country's Supreme Election Council. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan took 49.5% of the Sunday's vote, with his main challenger, Kemal, getting 44.89%, the council said. As neither secured more than 50% of the vote, they will face off in a second round of May 28, taking Turkey into uncharted territory. This is only the third time that Turks directly voted for a president, with Erdogan winning both previous elections outright in the first round. Although the Supreme Election Council is yet to announce the preliminary result, it seems the two main candidates for Turkey's presidency did not receive 50% of the votes required. But incumbent President Erdogan is confident that he will win in the second round.
We do not yet know whether the presidential election will end in the first round with the 50% plus one that our electoral system demands. If the result shows that the presidential election is over, then there is no problem. If our nation has made its choice in favor of a second round, I welcome that as well.
We are extremely happy, especially with the high participation of young people and women. It is also pleasing that the participation rate is close to 90%, and that the process is maintained within a democratic maturity. If our nation says the second round, it is more than welcome.
South Africa has launched an investigation into several people involved in a gold smuggling and money laundering scheme exposed by Al Jazeera's investigative unit. In a speech to the Parliament of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa said this week the investigation was in the inquiry stage. The investigation is the direct result of Gold Mafia, a four-part series by Al Jazeera's investigative unit into gold smuggling and money laundering in Southern Africa. In it, Al Jazeera revealed how a group of money launderers and gold smugglers had effectively taken over several South African banks by bribing key members, allowing the criminals to send large amounts of illegally obtained money overseas without raising the suspicion of the authorities. And in sports news, Wiki tourists have submitted a formal complaint to the Interim Management Committee against the centre referee Ridwan Ayeni's handling of their rescheduled match against Rivers United last week. Wiki tourists played a 1-1 draw against the NPFL champions at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa Stadium in Bauchi, which dented their chances of escaping relegation. In its letter to the IMC, the club claimed that the match official killed their morale of its players with his questionable calls. Some supporters of the club, however, hold contrary opinions. One of them, Kabir Yusuf, said that the club's management should take responsibility for the team's failure and make the necessary amends. Another fan of the club, A.B. Suleiman, said that supporters are disappointed because the petition is dead on arrival and will likely tarnish the image of the club. Still on sport news, tennis world #1 Carlos Alcaraz suffered a shock third-round defeat in the Italian Open at the hands of unheralded Hungarian Fabian Muresan, losing 6-3, 7-6 on Monday. The 20-year-old Spaniard had come into the tournament on back of wins in Barcelona and Madrid, but was outplayed by Muresan, who is ranked 135 in the world. Muresan, 23, won the final 6 points of the second set tiebreaker to hand US Open champion Alcaraz a wake-up call, with the French Open starting in less than a fortnight. Alcaraz now stands 33 on the season as he prepares to head to the Roland Garros as top seed for the first time at Grand Slam. And that's it for the news hour tonight. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.